Hey, this is Judah from SceneForge Studio, and in this video I'm going to go over the changes, improvements, and bug fixes to version 0.3.7 I think we're up to now. Now this release is relatively minor, but I also wanted to show off some of the upcoming things that are coming to future releases of SceneForge in a way that's a little more cohesive than just the previous kind of time-lapse videos, so I'll be talking through the way these things work. So first and foremost, let's talk about some of the improvements. Well, one of the biggest changes that was requested is the ability to manipulate multiple objects. So I'm going to bring in a bunch of cubes here just for this example, and I'm going to duplicate a bunch of them, shrink them down, make them a little bigger, and move these around. So now, as opposed to just being able to select one object at once, you can select multiple objects and control them as one. And of course, you can add multiple objects to the selection, move them around, rotate, scale them, and it just makes it even easier to work with larger scenes that you have. And of course, you can delete them all at once, and so on and so forth. So it just makes things even easier to work with. The next addition is that in shoot mode, you now have the option to control the camera move speed and rotation sensitivity. So if I were to turn this all the way up, you'll see that at a high focal length, like 54, trying to get a good angle is a little tricky just because it's very sensitive. So you can lower this, and now it's much more smooth and slow, so you have to move your mouse a lot more to get a good angle that you're looking for. It just makes it easier to be a little more precise. And of course, you can adjust it as you need. Just like that. On a similar note, previously there was an annoying bug with the timeline where it wouldn't react to your spacebar. Now that's fixed, so it won't be a problem anymore, which is very good that that's kind of taken care of. The other cool thing is that dynamic tracks, as you can see here, our guy walking in an endless loop, are now colored white, which makes them a little easier to see, as you'll see in a couple minutes. But previously, they were only able to set the duration in seconds, so basically how long in seconds it'll take for the path to be completed. Now there's also an option to use speed, so when I check this off, this value will now be in miles per hour, and in the future we can change it to kilometers per hour as well. This just makes it even easier to better integrate your dynamic tracks with the way a camera would actually work on a real dolly track, or let's say a ride vehicle or a car if you want to set up larger scenes. Of course, if I were to press play, it'd be a little ridiculously fast, but if I were to set this to something like 2, it's a little more realistic. So that it is now in miles per hour as opposed to duration, which it is now. So those are the 3 main additions to this new version of SceneForge, as well as a bunch of other bug fixes that hopefully you won't have to worry about. But next I want to talk about something cool that will make your life a lot easier when designing scenes. This will just even further eliminate the need to bring in models from elsewhere. You'll see at the top there's a button that says Floor Plan View. Now this is in a pre-release version, so you don't have access to this yet, but that's why I'm showing it off. So let's click this, and you'll see the editor will now transform into a top-down floor plan view of your scene that you can click and drag to move around, zoom in, out, and you'll see kind of a bunch of different options here. You can rotate the camera, recenter it, and things like that. So you can see our camera here. I'm going to move our camera a little bit closer to our track and our little character here. So I'm going to exit 3D view, or floor plan view, and move our camera a little closer. Open up the focal length a little bit more and go back into floor plan view. So now you can see exactly the field of view of our camera, our character, and the dynamic track. Now you're probably wondering, what are all these options on the side here? Well, that is for designing floor plans, exactly as you would expect. So let's start with that as an example. So I have our scene here. I'm going to start by creating a wall chain. Now what that will do allow us to paint a room like this. Now I'm going to draw a single wall, and I'm going to put it right between like that, and we'll just add another wall right over here. Now what I'm going to do is go back into shoot mode, or I'll go back into stage mode, turn off 3D view, and you'll see now we have our floor plan. Now it's a little weird. There's, no way to kind of get past, but let's fix that by going back to the floor plan, and I'm going to add a door here and here. And I'm also going to add a window right about here. So now if we go back into the 3D view, you'll see we have two doors on either side of this thing here, which we can click on to open. And we have our window over here for our camera to look through. So I'm going to actually edit this path so it works a little bit better with our door. And now let's click play. Of course, it's way too fast, so I'm going to make this 23 seconds. And now he's actually walking through. And in shoot mode, you can actually now control the camera, take a look at our guy walking through the door, quite literally walking through the door, just because I didn't configure the path too well. But you can see this new feature is a great way to add just more information to your scenes, more, setups without much work. So you can, of course, continue editing this. I'm going to delete this back wall and continue working on this a little bit more. So we can add another room over here and stuff like that. So it's a really powerful system, a really easy system for getting started with some floor plans. Now what this is useful for is plenty of things. One, when the system is a little more built out, as you'll see in future releases, this is useful for designing virtual sets that actually match your physical sets, or for planning out showrooms, or for pre-visualizing, immersive experiences that you can actually build in real life in the future. So that is a basic overview of the floor plan system that is coming in a later release. This will also be fully integrated into the new storyboard system. So in addition to being able to view what your camera sees, you'll actually also be able to view a top-down view of your scene from this moment. So you can see where your characters are, where your objects are, where your cameras are, and so on and so forth. So it is a great way to just improve your scenes, build more, and create some more interesting things. Again, you'll have the chance to experiment with this when it is available in the near future. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.